Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ontario Cryptids. Before we get started with today's encounters, I have a quick announcement to make. I will be live streaming on Saturday, March the 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The topic of discussion will be Dogman, and we will have some pictures to share with you all. So mark your calendar so you don't miss out. If you have an encounter story that you would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I would be honored to share your story with like-minded people. Now sit back and relax as we begin with today's episode. We're going to be heading to Labette County, Kansas, and this takes place in 2014. I saw a shapeshifter 10 years ago in Kansas. At first, it looked like a black cat. Then it took the form of a skunk and went into the woods. A couple of seconds later, it came out as an armadillo, but it never could get the form just right. You could tell it wasn't quite right. We had a lot of high strangeness around the farm at that time. Our dogs had been wounded by something with really sharp claws. So when we saw the shapeshifter, my cousin yelled, "Shoot that effing thing!" So we did. My cousin's husband and I shot at it at the exact same time. It turned to dust. No blood, no guts, just dust. But at the same time that we shot the creature, 6 to 8 large creatures screamed the scariest primordial scream I've ever heard. It was terrifying. The other creatures could not have seen what happened because of where the screams came from. We think they all felt it, like a hive mind. Needless to say, we hurried into the house. The high strangeness kept on for quite a while, eventually slowing down. This one takes place in 2023. We're going to be going to Sussex County, New Jersey. My 3-year-old son suffered from chronic ear infection last year, which led him to having high fevers. I slept with him on this particular night because I needed to give him Tylenol throughout the night to keep his fever down and keep him comfortable. I set my alarm to wake me up around 2:30 a.m. I woke up and went into the kitchen to get the Tylenol. I noticed a bright light shining into the apartment from our deck door, which also illuminated part of the woods behind the apartment. When I went over to see what it was, it turned out to be a car with those bright LED headlights in the parking lot to the far back right of the apartment. I figured they were dropping someone off. I saw movement of what resembled a dog walking around near the woods. I started to think that the lady who usually walks her dog, a cute little Gorky, in the area purposely faced her car in that direction so that she could see while she was walking her dog. As it got closer, I realized that there was nobody out there walking a dog, and there was no dog. I don't know what it was that I saw, but I'll only describe it the best way I can. At first it looked like a dog, corky size, but as it walked closer, it looked like your average house cat. Then it looked like a black bear, and then it looked like a koala. I live in North New Jersey, farmland and lots of woods, and there are no wild koalas here. At this point, my heart is pounding out of my chest and I'm scared. The fear I felt was like a primal type of fear I've never felt before. I ran to my bedroom and I woke up my boyfriend and I shook him awake very roughly. I said, "You gotta come and see this." He was a bit annoyed with me. When we look outside together, we see this thing getting closer and it looks like a skunk now. White stripe down the center with perky fluffy tail. I said, "Oh, it's just a skunk," with a little chuckle. I felt a bit embarrassed that I woke him up over a damn skunk, but at that moment I also felt relieved. However, I was mistaken. As it walked, it looked as if it was struggling to find a form. I thought it looked like it was falling apart, but also coming back together again at the same time. I know this doesn't make any sense, but it's hard to find the words for what we saw. After the skunk formation, it looked like a person crawling on the ground with some type of fur skin attached to them around the legs. Then it changed again and looked like a raccoon, a groundhog, a black bear, a cat, koala, deer, and a skunk. The part that stuck out to me the most was that whatever it was seemed to be coming apart, shedding, but at the same time it was growling. Whoever had their headlights on turned them off as it went deeper into the woods. This happened pretty quick. I'd say it was only about a couple of minutes from start to finish. He ended up going back to bed, but I couldn't sleep after that, so I grabbed a flashlight and shined it into the woods to see if I could see anything again, but it was gone. I also opened the door to see if I could hear anything, but I couldn't. It was very quiet. I had a hard time going back to sleep that night. My boyfriend wasn't scared, but he was confused and stunned. He didn't know what to make of it. I was scared and creeped out. I know if I hadn't woken him up to see it for himself, he most likely would not have believed me and would have chalked it up to me being groggy from just waking up or it just being an animal. Unfortunately, I know what I saw and I'll never forget it. For this last one, the date is unknown, but we're going to be heading to Europe, and to be more precise, we're heading to a place called Lindenbos, Belgium. Now, Lindenbos is a forested area that is surrounded by farmland and a town. I grew up in Belgium, Europe. Since I was young, I have been in Scouts with my friends. Scouts is mixed in Belgium. We don't have boys and girls apart. We start Scouts when we are 6 years old, and then we go through all of the groups until we are 18. That is when we become Scout leaders. I'm saying this to give you a little background on me and my friends. We are people who I would consider close with nature, camping, and overall used to a lot. I would not say that we are your typical rough outdoor lumber type of a person, but we can manage ourselves well through a forest. Back when I was around 16 years old, one of my friends invited our group to go wild camping in the forest that we have close to our homes. It is not your average American national park, I wish, with stories of Bigfoot or worse, but it definitely has its own charm and legends. We have a century-old tale about werewolves in our forest and a couple of legends about witches. It is not a huge forest, but one can get easily lost if they are not familiar with its trails, and all the trees look the same. I'm saying this to describe it the best I can. We were very familiar with the forest since we were small children playing in the tree line, and afterwards as teenagers being blindly dropped with nothing but a map in the middle of the forest by our leaders. I do not know whether this Scout game is popular in other countries, but in Belgium, it is very well known and quite safe actually. We do not have bears or, until a year back, wolves, so when we are dropped, we would carry flashlights just in case anyone didn't manage his or her way out. Having a flashlight, they would get spotted easily by a search party. Again, this is not a national park that is so huge a person could go missing for days. That being said, again, we were very familiar with the forest and we were all locals from the village nearby. We started our camping journey with our bikes from the village to the entrance of the forest. And once there, we would continue to the deeper part of the forest on foot, since it was an area with lots of hills and few trails for bikes. The mood was good. It was a beautiful, although a bit cold autumn evening with a few clouds and a beautiful sunset. We hiked our way through the forest until we got to a small clearing with some grass and prepared our tents for the night. We made a small campfire. We always learned to be safe, never putting the forest in danger, and ate some beans and sausages for dinner, together with some tasty Belgian beers. Around 11 p.m. we decided to call it a night, and we each went to sleep in our tents and sleeping bags. Everything seemed like a normal camping day in our forest. Then suddenly around 1:30 a.m. we woke up to the sounds of what seemed to be drums. A couple of us got out of our tents with our flashlight asking what was going on. Our forest had always been a quiet place at night, and during the day, the only noise you could hear were the little critters. So you can imagine the surprise of hearing drums in the middle of the night. We were located on a flat area on the side of a hill to have a beautiful view in the morning, and at the other side of the hill over the top, we saw light and smoke of what seemed like a bonfire. We figured that had to be the place where the drum noise was coming from. So those of us who got out of the tent decided to go over to see what was going on and maybe talk with the people who decided that it was a good plan to make noise in a calm forest at 1:30 a.m. We hiked over the hill so that we could have a glance at the people to whom we were going to be dealing with first. We walked about 15 minutes before we could actually see the bonfire. It was located in a small circular clearing with lots of trees and bushes around. We crouched towards the bushes in the tree line to get a look at what was going on, and that is when we saw the people with the drums. A couple of them, I recall a group of 5 or 6, sat around the fire playing the same tune on the drum the whole time, and another group of people was dancing around the bonfire. Although I say dancing right now, I mean people making weird, unnatural movements, almost as if they were having spasms, and honestly, the best way to describe it, bodies contorting. The people dancing around the circle were wearing suits. At first glance would make it look like people dressing to be one with nature. A second glance would make it look like pagan suits, almost like the original celebration of Halloween. This was when we realized that whatever these people were doing, whether it was some sort of gag or seriously some sort of ritual, we would be better off if we did not confront them. So we decided to back off and go back to our camping spot as quiet as possible. Once there, we decided to wake the rest of them up and tell them what we had seen. We packed up that same moment and left to the entrance of the forest, got on our bikes, and went all the way back home. We have since still frequented the forest, both for scouts and in our free time with friends and family, and we have never seen this circle of people again. However, it stuck with me ever since, and I will never forget how we felt out of place in the forest for the first time in our lives. It is the first and luckily the last time that we did not feel welcome in our own forest. I hope you all enjoyed these encounter stories today. If you have an encounter that you would like to share, then please forward your encounters to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I would be honored to share your story on this channel. Now I would like to thank the current OC members. If you want to become a member, then head on over to the Communities tab on my channel to learn more. The current members are Jim, Teresa, Elizabeth, and Dale. Thank you so very much for your support. Before you leave, don't forget to check out the OC store and pick up your own merchandise, whether it be a bag, cushion, hat, shirt, etc. Send me a picture of you wearing the merchandise and I will post it in the Communities tab and on the Discord server. Thank you all for listening until the end. I truly appreciate it. Please hit the like button on your way out and smash the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Have a great weekend and we'll see you all next week right here on Ontario Cryptids.